Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Kafaya. I'm a community learning specialist at DoSpace, and I will be facilitating today's after school club Kid Coder session today. How's everyone doing? So, I have something quite exciting planned for us today. I hope everyone's as excited to learn as I am. So, for today, we're going to be diving into the world of machine learning. If you've ever wondered how computers know what they know, somebody teaches them. So, today, we're going to be exploring how that works. Have you ever been asked the question, is this glass half empty or half full? That kind of tells what kind of person you are. Are you optimistic or pessimistic? Well, today we're going to make our computer decide. So in this project, we're going to be learning, we're going to be we're going to be teaching our computer how to answer the question, and we get to test out if the computer learned anything or if we just wasted our time. Without further ado, I'm just gonna dive right in. So for today's class, I would be using a worksheet. And if anyone's interested, feel free to ask me if you wanted to work on this at your own time. Feel free to ask me, and I would be more than willing to share it with you so you can explore and have fun and learn cool stuff at your own time. Okay, so let's get right into it. It's a quite lengthy and very descriptive worksheet that leads us and guides us through today's activity of machine learning. So, yeah, I'm just going to go straight to step one. So, the first thing to do is to go onto this link, which is the Machine Learning for Kids.co.uk website slash scratch3, which is right here. I magically just brought it up. Okay, so the next thing to do is to go here to project templates, and we're going to find the template for the activity that we're doing today, which is titled Describe the Glass. Okay, and as you can see, we get to test out what it actually does. So this gives us, I guess, a gauge on what our computer is expected to do and how we're going to go about it. So of course, to start your game in Scratch, the thing to do is click on the green flag, and when your green flag is clicked, it starts by describing what exactly this is, which is a glass. And it showed you there that the glass was empty, and now the glass is full. So you have a good description of the two versions. So it goes on to ask you, how would you describe this? Would you call the glass half empty or half full? And at this point, you get to give the answers for yourself because it is what it is. And at the bottom right here, where you see prediction, after we tell our computer what we consider half full or half empty, our computer gets to predict what the answer would be. So it acts like our brain and feels like it knows us, and it can tell us what we're going to choose. So if I call this half empty, this is a bit tedious to have to do this over and over again, right? So what we've seen so far is that we get to choose between two options to check if our glass is half full or half empty. And now we're going to be um we're going to train our computer, okay? I kind of lost my train of thought right there for a second. So that it learns to think for itself and it would predict our answer when we get down the line. Okay. So the next thing to do is to go collect examples of how we answer the question and store them on our machine so it can build a pattern of what we consider full and empty. So now I'm going to go back here to this, to where we started from, right here. And Yeah. So, and now I'm going to go to my projects, which I kind of already started before, but for the sake of you guys, we're going to do this from scratch, from the beginning. So, yes, I want to delete that. Okay. So now I'm going to add a new project. And my project name, of course, is going to be to describe the glass. And this would be recognizing numbers. And for the value, we're going to use percentages. So that way we calculate how much, if from like 0 to 100. So if my glass is like 40% full, that's more close to empty than it is to full. And if it's in like the 50s and 60s, that's more full than empty. But I'm talking too much. Let's just keep going with this. So right here, I'm going to put percent, and it's going to be number. And we're good to create our activity now, or our project. So now I'm going to go right in to the project that I created. And the first thing to do, of course, is to train my computer. This is where I teach it and I tell it what to, just like you get trained and you get taught stuff in school. That's the same thing that that's the same concept we're going to apply right here for today's activity. So I'm starting by training my computer to recognize if my cup is full or empty. So right here, I'll click on the train button, and I need to add labels so that my computer can separate, or my machine, I keep saying computer, my machine can separate the values and just have a point of reference for what answer to give me. So I'm going to go ahead and label them half full and half empty. Bear with me while I do that. And same thing, I'm going to add another one that says half full. Cool. So now that that is done, we're going to go back to our project. And now I'm going to go right here where it says make. And I'm going to use the machine learning model to, like it says right here, use the machine learning model you've trained to make a game app in Scratch, Python, or App Inventor. But of course, we're using Scratch for today because we like Scratch over here. Next, we're going to go, of course, click right here. And I'm going into Scratch 3. And now I'm going to just go straight into Scratch. We're going to come back to training, or this is all a process to help us train our machine. So now I'm going straight into Scratch. As you can see, I'm going back to my project templates just to navigate my way back to the describe the glass activity. So now I'm going to click on my half empty sprite. The game is already built, so what we're doing here is we're taking it a step further to help us ensure that we train our machine, right? So I'm going to click the half empty sprite and right here. And next I'm going to find the when the sprite is clicked block, which is right here. And now I'm going to go into my scripts right here. And like I said earlier, and like we stated at the beginning, we want it to measure in percentages, right? So I'm going to go ahead and tell it using the blocks over here. So what we want to do is to make sure that we add training data using percentages. So I'm going to go in here and choose the block that does exactly what I want it to do, which is add training data. I'm going to click, drag, and place it right here. And what percentage is it measuring? It's the percentage of my liquid. So I'm going to go into my variables tray to find my liquid percent block to indicate when our glass is half empty, right? So we get to repeat this process for when our glass is half full. So I'm going to click on my sprite for half full. And now I get to add training data in liquid percent for half full. So I'm going to just do the same thing right here. Grab my liquid percent block and change this to half full. Nice. So now when the green flag is clicked, every time that I choose an answer, it records it. Let's see how that works. Let me make this full screen. So click on my green flag. It tells me what an empty glass looks like, and it goes ahead to show me what a full glass looks like, right? And now it asks me the fun questions. So what would we call this glass? It looks closer to the top than it does to the bottom. It looks like fuller, closer to the top than it does to the bottom. So I'm going to say that this is half full, right? So let's see what happened after I chose my answer, considering the changes we just made to our code. So to do that, I'm going to go back to this web browser over here. And for my machine learning tool, and I'm going to click on back to project. Oh no, I apologize. That was an error on my part. We kind of have to repeat this process over again. Bear with me. Sorry about that. I'm just going to start over. Oopsie. Okay. I'll try my best to be as fast as I can. And for anyone that's just joining us, the thing is you get to see me do it all over again. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to projects. I'm going to add a new project and I'm going to call it describe the glass, and it's recognizing numbers, and we're going to add the percentage value, and this is going to be numbers, and create. So now I go in here and I go to train and I add two labels. One is half empty and the other one is half full. Hey, these things happen. You have to start over sometime. Okay, and now I go back into our game, right? Right here, and I make a few changes here. So, 1 second. Okay. Then I go back in my projects and I go to make and scratch 3, and I go straight to scratch. And now I go back to my project templates, and now we're back here. And this is where we get to make the changes. So I add my training data. Oh no, 1 second. Half empty. I add my training data. And I also add the percent block. Oops. Half empty. Click on half full and repeat the same process. add my training data, liquid percent, half full. Cool. And now I go back to project. And now I go back to my make. Scratch 3. Oh, I already did this part. Now, I think this is where we stopped. Okay. So what is expected to happen now is every time that I answer the question, it should record my response right here. So let's go. So I would call this half full, and this would be half empty, and this would be half full. Okay. Okay. And now if I refresh, you should see all my responses right here. So we're going to go ahead and do it a few more times just so that our computer recognizes our pattern, and then it starts to predict what our answers would be. So this would be half full, half empty. Would I call this full? Okay, let's just call this full. Okay, so now if I go back here and refresh the page, you see that I have more options, more answers to choose from. And next, we're going to go back into Scratch. Stop this and make this small screen. And I'm going to go click on the prediction sprite right here and find the block that says when I receive question. And now I want it to recognize the pattern from the training and give me predictions now. So I'm going to go add a recognize numbers label right here. Okay, so when I receive predictions, that fits right here. And we're going to set a prediction to the liquid percent. Okay. And when I receive the next question, I want it to hide the variable prediction and train a new machine model. Right here. So now we're going to go back into full screen to test out all the work that we just did. Let me see if you guys have any questions for me. Awesome. And when my green flag is clicked, as you can see, it does the, I guess, introduction. It shows me what the glass is like empty, and it shows me the process until the glass fills up. And now when it asks me a question, you can see right here at the bottom. How do I make this? Let me minimize my screen so you guys can see what I mean. So right here at the bottom, I realized my face was hiding all of this before. So right here at the bottom, my prediction shows that my answer is most likely going to be half full, which I click and it disappears. And of course, it just always predicts what my answer is going to be. Okay. And half empty, half empty, half full, half full. Okay. So what we have done so far is to train our computer to predict our answers, as you can see right here in the prediction. And we used machine learning just so that's how you teach a machine what to do. And I'm sorry, my thoughts are kind of mumbled right now. So instead of writing the instructions for the computer to follow, we just let the computer learn by itself. And now it's showing us that it actually learned something. The computer studies our patterns, or the machine studies our patterns, and then gives us predictions based on what it thinks we would do next. So now we're going to go back to the machine learning page. And I'm going to go back to my project. And I'm going to click on Learn and Test. And this basically describes the model, and it would show us the picture of all that we just did. It's more like a report on everything that we just achieved from training this computer to testing it. So if I click right here on describe my module, it takes a while, but then it tells us exactly what it is. So the technique that we use to create our machine learning module today is called a decision tree classifier. This is not the only way to train a machine learning model. We're using it because it's very quick and easy to learn. So what I'm going to do right now for you guys is put the link to this in the link to this worksheet in the chat if you guys are interested and if you wanted to practice this on your own time. And let me know if you have any questions so that we can answer them together, or at least try to figure it out. Okay, so this copy, and right here in my chat, I'm just going to put it right here for you. So let me know if it works, and if you want me to do something over again, I'll be more than happy to do so. If you guys don't have any questions, I think it'll be cool if we started on another activity, right? So for this one, we're going to go with Chameleon right here. So let me download the project worksheet. And let's see. In this project, you will make a chameleon that changes color to match its background. You would use the webcam to, oh, that's not gonna work for us because I'm using the webcam right now. So let's see. I can tell you guys about another activity that I had planned for us today, but I couldn't do it because my camera wouldn't work, which is why we can't do the chameleon activity. 1 second. Okay. course, let me know if you have any questions or if you're stuck somewhere and we can walk through it together. So how this works is that you make a simple version of a card game, Snap and Scratch, and just like we trained our computer to recognize the different levels of a glass being half full and half empty, for this one, you get to take several pictures of a specific image. See right here? You train it and you take different, like the different options, the different ways that you think that the picture can look, and then you label that. So every time that you take a picture, your computer is going to try to remember. It'll dig into the memory bank of all the different images that you already showed it and all the possible forms that the images could come out in. And it'll give you a probable answer. Right here. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be more than happy to help. But that's mostly all that I have for you guys today. So while we wait for your questions, I'm just going to keep guessing if my glass is half full or half empty. What would I call this? I'm still here. If you guys have any questions about today's activity, let me know. Or if there's anything you would like us to look through or work through today, I'll be more than happy to do that with you. So just for the rest of the time today, we're going to go ahead and try to add more predictions to our, so that we have more options than half full and half empty. So what I'm going to do here is delete all of these entries, and we're going to add one more level that says nearly empty. Okay, so this is like starting from scratch, but we're adding more options, more labels, just to give you guys another example. So remember, I just go in here and I add a label and nearly full. And one more, nearly empty. Okay, so now we go back a few steps. Remember? Go in here. Stop. Let's see. We're going to go add more training data. Whoa, we do that again. To do that, I go in here and I would just add another sprite right here. So I need to create a new sprite. I don't think I'll be done with that before today, but hey, we can try. So let me go create a box and make it blue. Okay, and I'm going to add some text right here and call that I okay. If I used the button sprite, going to add some text, and I'll let's make that a bit smaller. And now I'm going to duplicate the button and make this one nearly empty. So this way we have more options for our machine. Just going to take this out. Okay, cool. Well, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up and do that so that I have something to show you guys at the beginning of our next session. But I would like to encourage you guys to go practice also and try to give it more options than what we have right here. So right now my buttons don't work except for my half full and half empty, but I want to make sure that all my buttons work at the end and that my computer is able to recognize more levels of my glass being full or being empty. So it's more descriptive if anybody asks me about it. Okay, well, thank you guys for being here with me today. I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye.